Hello, fellow travelers. Episode 89 was recorded before news broke about Tom and Fertitta buying Caesar's Palace and all of the other properties they own, so we don't cover that in this episode. But fear not, we'll do a deep dive on the acquisition of Caesar's Palace in episode 90, which will drop next week. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy episode 89. Recording live in the Lucky Number 7 Lounge, this is Dine, Drink, Vegas, the podcast by and for everybody stuck at home, wishing they were in the land of neon lights and bad decisions. I'm your host, John, also known as the Baller on a Budget, and you have stumbled your way into episode number 89, where we're going to bring you some Las Vegas news, and for the tasty booze, we're going to back up and think about what college kids drank in our day and what they're drinking today. But before we can bring you any of that any of that content, we've got to bring in the founder of Dine, Drink, Travel and Dine, Drink, Vegas. Yes, of course, I mean the high roller, formerly of the High Plains, the leader in the luxury lounge, the king of comps, yada, yada, yada. We got to bring in Bill. But more importantly, Bill's son, Edwin, is home from college and is also joining the podcast. So, Bill, yay, Edwin. Good evening, gentlemen.
Gentleman is a term loosely used here, sir.
Yeah, I'm showing deference because you're a grown man child. I have more respect for it than I do you.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
I like you. But
do I need to be here for this, or do you two just want to do your thing and then I can go?
Yeah, no, we're good. How do we want to kick this off? Should we talk about what we're drinking and then let your firstborn pontificate, or allow him to enlighten us on what the kids are drinking at college these days, and then we'll talk about what we drank?
Let's I vote we move forward in time so we can see how much has changed. So let's start with what old people drank. I don't know, how long ago were you in college, John? 2, maybe 3 years ago?
When I say I'm going to party like it's 1999 with this segment, I'm being very literal.
Fair. Yeah, let's go back in time. Let's go in the Wayback Machine.
So I'll start. I have a twofer tonight in honor of my college roommate, a guy named Robert. We always referred to Robert when we went out to party as the Anaconda. And the reason we did that is anytime we went to a bar, he would order a blank and a blank. Right? So tonight, in honor of my friend, the Anaconda, I have a tall boy of Shinerbach beer and an Airplane Mini of Jim Beam White Label.
That sounds terrible, John. Why would you do that?
Because this was the Tuesday night special at the Cactus Moon for a while.
Well, presumably he's not pouring the whiskey in the beer, so everything's all right.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, see, that's where I thought this was going. Now, I'm watching you drink the beer. Do you finish one and then do the other, or do you alternate shots? What's the process here?
No, so I had a sip of the beer, just make sure it's good and cold. So here's the process. This is simple. This is a shot and a chaser. So I've got my beer. That's my chaser. I've got my shot.
Ooh, that is a lot of Jim Beam to chug.
That's how Gen X did it, boys.
Wow, that was a thing I just saw happen, and I can't unsee it happening. So, on a day-to-day basis in college, when you turn 21, because of course you would never have considered the sin of drinking before you were 21, but on a day-to-day basis in college, what did you drink? Was that the most routine drink, or was that only Tuesday night at the Cactus Moon?
So in the apartment, it was probably Guinness or McEwen's. I had a thing for imported beers even back then. Also, spending money on better beer kept me from drinking quite so much on the day-to-day. But at the bar, yeah, it was going to be Shiner or Lone Star, or at one particular place, it was Red Dog. Do you remember Red Dog, Bill? I haven't seen a Red Dog.
Sadly, yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, and it was whatever beer was frosty, cold, and affordable, and the occasional shot once an hour or so.
Huh. So we at my august and prestigious institution of higher education, drank whatever it is we could get, which before you were 21 meant whatever you could get somebody to get for you, unless the people at the local Albertsons felt like selling it to you. I remember one time I went into the Albertsons and just bought a can of something with a white label and the word beer on it. I drank a lot of Lone Star Light, but what I've got tonight, John, is Crown Royal. So I do believe you are familiar with the town of Merkel, Texas, are you not?
Indeed, I am, yeah.
So I had a terrible and unfortunate weekend relationship with a girl from Merkel once. And after she said that I needed to go far, far away, I complained to a buddy of mine who also happened to be the guy in the dorms who was responsible to stop you from drinking.
Right.
And he brought me into his dorm room and showed me his bottle of Crown Royal, and I had a lot of it. Right? Like, I don't remember anything being left of that bottle, but I was heartbroken. A girl from Merkel turned me down.
And because I went to college in Abilene, I've known a few girls from Merkel, but your son is here, and my wife occasionally listens to this podcast, so no notes on that.
Yeah, no, that is okay. We will handle all that post-production. But I got myself, because I couldn't bring myself to get an entire bottle of Crown Royal. So I've got this mini, or larger than a mini bottle, but a hip flask size bottle. Now I want to tell everybody, I also poured myself a shot of Maker's Mark. And I understand that a Canadian whiskey and an American bourbon aren't the same thing. I get it. But after I drink the terrible Crown Royal, I want to remind myself what a half reasonable whiskey tastes like. So let's give this a shot.
Now, the fresh crack of a new bottle.
Yes. All right. I poured it's shot-ish right there. Let me close this. By the way, Edwin, if you don't do what your mother and I tell you this summer while you're home, you've got to drink the rest of this Crown Royal. That's going to be your punishment.
You know what? I think I will err on the side of caution and not be a jackass. How about that?
That would be my suggestion. Also, that ultimately your mother won't let me enforce this decision, but I'm gonna talk tough for now. So let me try the Crown Royal. Oh wow, it doesn't even smell good when I bring the glass up to my nose. So it actually doesn't taste terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. It's super sickly sweet in a way I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm not getting notes of any particular grain. I mean, the main thing I get off the Crown Royal, and this isn't one of the flavored Crown Royals, it's just straight up Crown. It's mostly just sweet, which probably is why we always mixed it with something, right? Like, okay, so that the night with the girl from Merkel, I just took it straight. But the rest of the time it was always like a Crown and Coke or a Crown and whatever, right? I became the Anaconda. I don't hate this. I don't like it, but I don't hate this the way I hated some things.
Well, to specify, the Anaconda title, it's not that you're mixing your hard liquor with a non-thing. It means you're double fisting. To be the Anaconda, you got to have 2 drinks. That's the rule. But yeah, Crown Royal is not an offensive whiskey. It's just not, it like most American and Canadian blended whiskeys, you get some real whiskey flavor and you also get neutral grain spirit. Sometimes you get a little artificial caramel color.
And that is, I apologize. That was my fault. I absolutely, it tastes like artificial caramel in there. So let me go back real quick to my glass of just Maker's Mark, which is a mid-shelf whiskey, but one I legitimately enjoy. Yeah, I can taste some barrel notes there. It's still a little bit of a sweeter whiskey, but it's nothing. Now that I'm having a real whiskey next to the Crown Royal, yeah, that is absolutely some artificially injected sweetness in the Crown Royal. And I'm glad I can afford grown man whiskey at this point in my life.
Right. Well, and Crown's not. There's way better whiskeys cheaper than Crown. I think Crown gets by on marketing. The purple bags are cool.
Well,
Even the nerds drink it because they need something for the D&D dice. You know, it serves a purpose.
It's kind of how you feel about Jack Daniels. It's not that it's terrible, but for what they charge you, there are so many better choices available.
Indeed. Well, let's jump into so that's what the old men were doing back in the 90s. Edwin, what are young folk at college drinking today, since you would be the expert in those things? Because they don't let us in the college bar because we're creepy old men.
Well, first thing is they would let you in the college bar on my campus in Ireland because nobody cares who you are. Given that, at those sorts of places, you'll see Smirnoffs, you'll see a lot of Irish whiskeys because there's some weird imported liquor tax law that makes it so a shot of Jameson at the bar on campus is cheaper than a shot of Smirnoff, which boggles my mind because I don't like Smirnoff.
Wait, which one is cheaper?
The Jameson is cheaper than
that
the
makes
Smirnoff.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So if the Jameson is cheaper than the Smirnoff, why are people drinking the Smirnoff? Because Smirnoff is not good.
Because largely people prefer to... I don't know. I was going to come up with some BS answer, but really I don't know. It makes no sense.
All right. So at your
sorry. My bad. Go
at
ahead,
your
Bill.
college bar, do they tend to just have like a shot of the liquor, or do they tend to pour it in something else?
They tend to pour it in something else, and most of what I see people drinking there is a Jaeger bomb or vodka and Red Bull or Jack and Coke, which I don't think they have Jack Daniels, but they do have Southern Comfort on the menu.
So I will say they've got Jack Daniels at the college bar at University College Cork, where your brother will be going next year. I have seen it there, and I've instructed your brother to make better choices. Not like from some weird moral perspective, but a son, you can do better sort of perspective.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes good sense. Yeah.
All right, so I've got one last question, then I'll shut up and let John take this. At University College Dublin, do most of the students drink at the on-campus bar, or do they go somewhere else, or do they just walk around campus sadly with a brown paper sack? Like, where do students drink on your campus in Ireland?
Generally at home first before they go out to do anything. That is called pre-drinking. And then they will go out to the campus bar or to a club in the city center of Dublin or a house party somewhere, and they will continue drinking until somebody passes out or vomits.
Oh, the Irish field sobriety test.
John, I cut you off. What were you going to ask the boy?
So I have a theory, and Edwin backed me up, because I don't know if this is true for your generation, but I think it was true for old heads like us. I think the reason why Smirnoff gets bought up in your local bars and things like that, I do think that younger folks in particular, human beings in general, but younger folks in particular who are new to the world of drinking, get suckered in by big brand and ad campaigns. And if something is local, like when I was younger, I would buy anything but Shiner for the house. And then at the bar, I would buy Shiner because you're Texas, that's what you drink. But home was like, I don't want Shiner, I want something from somewhere else. So even though most of the world's like, hey, Jameson's a pretty good start for a whiskey, I think Irish kids are drawn to the marketing of not Jameson. They just want something from somewhere else because you feel a little exotic dipping outside of what's in your day-to-day world. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, that makes good sense, actually. And actually, that corresponds quite well with Coors Light, I see quite often.
Ooh.
There's a lot of folk that'll buy up Coors Light at the Tesco or what have you because it's cheap. And the marketing, I guess the marketing does a number, as you said.
Huh.
Maybe they've just been watching your Uncle Mark's movies. I don't know. Could be that.
Yeah. So, is there anything, because occasionally your mother listens to this podcast, son, is there anything you would like her to know about college student drinking in Ireland?
That mostly I don't do it. And as a side note, that right now my drink of the day is a Barks Root beer because the state of Alabama, in its infinite wisdom, will not allow me to have a drink in my own house with the leader of the luxury lounge, despite the fact that I've been drinking in Ireland 2 academic years.
Okay. Let me ask that then, as I guess my very last question. So the drinking age in Ireland is 18. When John and I went to college, it was 21, but as a practical matter, 16, 17, when you could totter up to a place that sold alcohol. How does having a lower drinking age impact drinking culture? Do you think it makes things healthier, less healthy? I mean, do you get more Winonas, which is totally a story you should tell? Like, how does the lower drinking age in Ireland impact how college students drink?
I think the first thing is it demystifies it. There's none of the American, I'm gonna get a fake ID and I'm gonna go up to the liquor store and get something, or I'm gonna get an upperclassman. There's none of that. Hardly any. There's hardly any taboo around having a beer, having a glass of wine, what have you. And I think for most folks, that is healthier in the long run, even if in the short term, maybe you go hog wildly with it, right? Now, the folks I've talked about so far on here aren't most folks. The folks who dominate Irish college drinking culture do far too much of it, and I think it would, whatever the age limit was.
All right. So, would you like to, in terms of college student drinking in Ireland, talk about our good dear friend Winona?
Oh, good grief. All right. So, this story takes place in, what was it, February 2024?
Yes, sir.
February 2024, myself, my aunt, and the leader in the luxury lounge were all in Ireland taking campus tours of Trinity, of University College Dublin, of a couple of other places, because I was applying at various Irish universities and we wanted to see them before I made a final decision. We were at the campus tour for UCD. We were assigned a wonderful tour guide by the name of Winona. Now, she's taken us along on this campus tour. It's the same as any campus tour you've ever been on. But she gets to talking some of the parents while all the prospective students are out front kind of leading the pack. And she begins to tell the story of the time she went to Las Vegas for some celebration. Doesn't really matter what. Was it Vegas or was it San Diego?
She used a lot of words, and I think it was probably both places.
Yeah, so I guess a trip across the Western United States, call it that. And she said she bought a handle of vodka for $10, and it was, quote, the good stuff. And Mr. Baller on a budget, I think you should inform the listeners of what $10 for a handle of vodka in plastic does not qualify for baller on a budget status.
No, it is budget, but there's nothing baller. I remember the liquor stores here in my hometown and in Abilene used to sell, Western Beverage sold Texas Spirit vodka, and it smelled exactly like nail polish. And it was not money well spent. I spent it because I didn't have money for better a lot of nights, but not money well spent.
Oh, and as a side note to the Winona story, there were a couple of points on the tour where she saw some guy in the distance entering a building, exiting a building. And she hollered, said hello to the guy, who would promptly say hello back and then make himself scarce. So apparently Winona had a reputation on that campus.
Winona, to be clear, John, Winona is a beautiful young woman, but like the young men of the campus were terrified of her. And to see a young man terrified of a pretty 23-year-old girl suggests that the handle of vodka sometimes did its thing.
Yeah, to quote Robert Earl Keen, she had a reputation of a girl who'd been around.
I don't know that it was that so much as maybe she just got terrifying. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, to Edwin's point that the availability of alcohol demystifies it, I think it does. That doesn't mean there's not still the occasional person who takes things way too far.
And I'm glad I'm not that person, especially at karaoke bars, wearing a blonde wig, singing Poison songs. All right, Bill, why don't we jump into some Vegas news?
I would be delighted to have you talk dirty to me, John. Do you want to get started?
Scott of Idle Vegas broke the sad news that MGM, good Lord, don't let the dyslexic guy make the run sheets. MGM plans to close all buffets in Vegas, including Wicked Spoon, in the coming months to a year. Now, Bill, some of these are no big loss. We're not crying a river over Excalibur. But how big a mistake do you think it is to shut down Wicked Spoon?
So I think there's two real mistakes. I think it's a mistake to shut down Wicked Spoon, and it's a mistake to shut down the Bellagio. The Bellagio is no longer as good as it was when it opened, but it was still such a centerpiece for so many people because it was one of the first, what was then a really big buffet. And the Wicked Spoon overtook it. I would have kept those two open to say you had a buffet product. Also, at the Bellagio, so Wicked Spoon is different because there's a lot of other like food courty things right around it. But inside the Bellagio, there's not. Now, I understand that they may be replacing the buffet with something food courty, but until that gets all the way built, there's not a lot of other good options for what buffets traditionally do. So I am sad to see those two go. In terms of things like the Luxor or the MGM Grand, I mean, those were always terrible. It was time for them to die. I'm really kind of surprised to hear this, and I'm wondering how long it's going to be before this circles back and we have buffets in Vegas again. What's your take, John?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I'm not a huge buffet person as a general rule. I used to be way fatter than I am now. I'm trying not to be that fat again. Avoiding buffets helps. I think you need a buffet on the south end of the strip, and that pretty much necessitates an MGM property needs a buffet. I would have thought they would have kept Wicked Spoon and maybe even brought dinner back at Wicked Spoon and let the others go. I actually think a food court at Bellagio makes more sense because even with the buffet, Bellagio does not have enough food venues. They don't have any affordable food venues. And the best space in that building to put in a food hall is where the buffet is. So I'm not broken up about Bellagio. I understand you are. You like that buffet better than I do. But I would have kept one or the other for sure because I think MGM needs a buffet. I get cutting back. I get dumping the bad ones. I think they need a buffet on that end of the strip.
Yeah, I see your point. And sure, if I had to pick one of the two, I would pick Wicked Spoon, mostly just because it's better. Also, isn't that where I bought your wife Lori a free buffet one time?
For hitting me in the junk with a cane. Yes, you did.
All right.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm glad I could help my friend Lori enjoy a free meal. In other news, Scott at Vital Vegas also reports that the infamous gluttonous beam restaurant, the Heart Attack Grill, is closing at Neonopolis on Fremont Street. And John, this actually makes me very deeply sad. You want to know why this news makes me sad?
I have no idea because I cannot imagine the high roller of the high plains in this joint.
It makes me sad, John, because you and I could walk into the Heart Attack Grill anytime we wanted and suddenly be considered pretty.
Fair. There's some rough looking big dudes going in there.
There are. I never went because that place just looked gross. Like there was nothing redeeming about it. I can't imagine the food having been that good. I and if what you want is a greasy hamburger, go to the dang White Castle that's right there, right?
Yeah.
Do go to that place we reported on a couple of episodes ago with the new Wagyu burgers. But the Heart Attack Grill just looked gross. And as much as I would love there to be one place left in Vegas where I could go and know I looked pretty, I wasn't willing to go in.
No, I'm the same way.
Tell us that you do not wish to get paddled by the nurses for not finishing your super greasy burger.
No, we can get paddled by the angry German woman for taking a shot over at Hofbrauhaus, but not the nurses because I didn't eat a 2-pound burger.
So 2 things, John. One, on a future episode, we need to, and sometime this summer while he's home, we need to talk about Edwin's first trip to Vegas next year. Because I think that would be an interesting feature. And second, don't you think we should take the boy to get some high quality German food and maybe a shot?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
He's
Helga
entitled.
the Horrible needs him. Yeah.
Yes.
He needs to meet Helga.
Well, we love you, son. What else do we have in the news, John?
Chris Holmes, who tweets at 710 Suited, was denied FAA permission to get drone footage of the new A's ballpark on the Strip. Proximity to the airport means we likely will not get the same bird's eye view of this project that Holmes and other content creators regularly share with the Hard Rock construction. That is the most typos I've ever put in a story on a run sheet. That's impressive.
That truly is impressive. The story itself actually kind of makes sense to me. I'm surprised he wasn't able to get some sort of a temporary waiver, like the ability to do it at 3 a.m. when there's not, commercial aviation or something. But the story, in terms of random things the U.S. federal government does, all right, I get it. Like if you are flying over that site, it would be super easy to take your drone and get it over the airfield in a hurry. And that would be, that would absolutely be a problem for commercial aviation.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's a shame we won't get to see the pictures and the videos like we do with the Hard Rock, but I totally get it. Bill, speaking of, on our next story, I think you're going to give us more on the same property.
I am, because the A's announced that they will still open their new ballpark on the old Tropicana site in 2028, even if Bally's doesn't finish, or for that matter, even start building the mixed-use development on time. And this comes after Bally's seems to lack the money and, for that matter, the will to do so. That means that only 9 of the 25 acres of the site would be ready, leaving a 25-acre concrete moonscape around the shiny new ballpark. But 2 things, John. One, I don't care, right? Like, I would love for the whole mixed-use development to be there, and that would make it more fun, but that's going to do Jack Taco to stop me from going to a baseball game. And 2, this goes back to a point you and I have made. If this is episode 89, we have now made this point on 90 of our 89 episodes. This ballpark is happening, and the A's are coming to Vegas regardless of what the ownership structure is. They're now talking about, hey, here's specifically how we're going to get this built, regardless of whether our partners do their bit or not. Baseball is coming to Vegas, John.
Baseball is coming to Vegas. And I get, if the full property isn't developed and customers have to walk through, baseball patrons have to walk through some construction scrim or just barren space, that's suboptimal. But here's the thing. If the team stinks, they're going to sell tickets. If none of the locals like the place, they're going to sell tickets. I think the naysayers are overlooking that there are lots of people like you and me that will show up on a random Tuesday in the summer just so we can go put money at the sports book over at, I don't know, Excalibur across the street or the MGM Grand, walk into that stadium, have a few ice cold Shiner Box or whatever beer, and live watch our sports betting win or lose in the ballpark. I think this is going to be a success. It is a shame the rest of the development around it isn't happening. And I still don't think when anything happens on that 25 acres, I don't think Bally's is going to be the owner.
I actually tend to agree with you. I don't know for sure, but I see your point. Hey, speaking of construction and long-term commitments to sports ball in Las Vegas, what's going on with Formula One, John?
So Clark County is extending their deal with F1 through at least 2037, meaning that every November the strip is going to be a giant pain in the keister to get around. Bill, are you happy or sad or ambivalent on the extension to F1?
I am sad because it's that many more years that one of my favorite towns is going to be jacked up for several weeks or several months per year.
Yeah.
And where there's times when I just don't want to go. And I hate the way Formula One just takes over the town, and the fact that it's not going to happen for an extra decade or whatever. Yeah, that makes me super sad. How about you, John?
I will say, well, it takes over the strip. It doesn't take over the town. Look, don't avoid Vegas if you don't want to deal with F1. Stay downtown. Stay at Red Rock. Don't avoid Vegas. Vegas still has amazing food, amazing shows, lots to do, lots of misadventures. But if you don't want to be around all the construction and everything with F1, just avoid the strip. There's plenty of other Vegas to do. It wouldn't keep me from going to Vegas.
All right, that's fair. In other news, according to Lavish Vegas Monthly Guide and SF Gate, Las Vegas hit peak capacity last weekend for the annual Electric Daisy Carnival at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Edwin, just so you'll know, when I get done talking about this story, I'm going to ask you for some input. But EDC welcomed roughly 140,000 festival goers each night from dusk until dawn. This massive influx combined directly with heavy Memorial Day weekend travel, culminating in severe multi-mile gridlock traffic stretching along southbound Interstate 15 near the California-Nevada border on Monday, May 25th, as travelers headed home. So, Edwin, you and I have talked about this, like when we drove for 2 days or 3 years or however long it took us to drive from Texas to Alabama, Western Texas to Alabama. And we have distinct musical styles. Do you have any idea what something like the Electric Daisy Carnival is, and like what kind of music that is? Because I'm pretty sure it's neither of the real kinds of music. It's neither country nor Western. So what is it?
A huge annual electronic dance music festival. They play a lot of different subgenres from within that. It seems like a cool thing to go to someday, but I suspect I would not enjoy the crowds or the noise, so I content myself with watching YouTube clips.
Huh. So, John, we may need to plan the boys' trip next year around Electric Daisy Carnival, and maybe he can show us a side of Vegas, which, let's face it, you and I are not going to on our own.
I think if he gets a few of those Smirnoffs and that Barks root beer, he'll decide to go and have a grand time doing it.
Yes.
Maybe not. Maybe not, Chief.
We'll put Mike in charge of convincing him to get in the Uber for that one.
No.
Nobody tells Mike no.
I just did. Mike, if you're listening to this, no.
Mike, we'll talk.
Yeah, what's going on in restaurant news, John?
So 2 restaurant openings we have previously reported that were coming are now totally open to the public, according to the Las Vegas Convention Center and Visitors Authority and other sources. Carbone Riviera, the new Italian seafood concept from Major Food Group, has fully taken over the historic former Picasso space at Bellagio. No word if Julia Roberts will be in there eating when you happen to visit. Complete with signature tableside whole fish program. Concurrently, London's 2 Michelin-starred upscale Indian icon Gymkhana officially marked its first ever U.S. Location expansion by opening its doors at Aria Resort Casino. By the way, first place where they serve beef. And by the way, Bill, I found out you can buy Gymkhana's curry sauces on the internet. They sell them in the jar.
So both of those are interesting to me, and I'd be delighted to go to either. But if I could only pick one, I go to Gymkhana because I've been to a lot of great Indian food. I've never been to like Michelin-starred Indian food, and I kind of want to see it. The presence of beef doesn't surprise me. I mean, something on the order of, while India is primarily a Hindu nation, and those folks wouldn't eat beef. It's something on the order of 15% Muslim and 4 or 5% Christians and other groups. So you've got, I don't know, something approaching 20% of the country that can eat beef. And while that's a fairly low proportion, when you're talking about more than 1 billion people, you still got essentially the population of the United States in that country that wants to eat beef. So that part by itself doesn't surprise me at all. It's not common at Indian restaurants in the U.S., but it absolutely could happen. And I really want to see what Michelin-starred Indian food is. Also, I think that might be one of those things which gets me to get to go to another Michelin-starred place with Rachel, because normally that's not the sort of thing she would enjoy. But if I'm like, sweetheart, it's Indian food, she might grudgingly be like, yeah, all right, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, this is one of those places I wish had a happy hour because it is spendy. Eventually, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go eat there because it sounds too good not to. I definitely would prefer this over Carbone Riviera, although I love seafood, don't get me wrong. But I definitely want to try what super high-end Indian food is because I do enjoy a good vindaloo, and I want to see what happens when the masters of the craft are at it.
All right. No, that is totally fair. In other news, Vegas Publicity shared that the Friends Experience temporarily lowered prices to $19.99 per guest through this past weekend in honor of the May 20th, 1999 episode titled The One in Vegas, which saw the gang living it up in Caesar's Palace. So, John, when you go to Vegas for a Friends Experience, which strip club does it happen at?
So you joke about this, but my wife is a fanatic fan of the show, and I am thinking when we go in late June, early July, we may wind up over at this thing. It won't be $19.99 anymore, but I have a feeling she wants to go make me stand in that stairwell and yell "pivot," and I'll do that to make her happy.
You are a good man, and you know what? I feel like I should go to Vegas with you and maybe find a reason to get her another buffet. Does that sound like it would be good, John?
Now you reminded me that she hit me in the junk with a cane. I'm just going to say this, sweetie, if you're listening, Ross did nothing wrong. They were on a break.
I would tell you, actually, John, so I still legally own my home in your town, and there's still a couch in it. And if you need a place to sleep tonight, I can give you the door code. It'll be fine.
By the way, I don't have to go to the liquor store for like a month because all of the unclaimed bottles from your bar in my town are now in my liquor cabinet. I got some good stuff. I'm going to be fine. So thank you for moving. I miss you, but I'll take good care of your bottles.
I trust you will. What else is going on, John?
In a story we somehow missed last month, Corey Levitin of casino.org, yes, folks, they employ other riders besides Scott at Vital Vegas, reported that when the Las Vegas monorail finally becomes operable, the train manufacturer is long gone and the system is in bad shape. So that's going to happen eventually. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitor Association, who bought the monorail out of bankruptcy in 2020, plans to partner with the Boring Company to turn the monorail tracks into elevated lanes for Teslas and tie the monorail to the Boring tunnel system. Bill, how do you feel about handing over this piece of Vegas history to Mr. Musk and his self-driving Teslas?
So I am in theory opposed to it because in theory I want like the mass public transit trains. But I probably haven't ridden those in at least a decade, and it may have been longer than that because they are so inconveniently located that they don't work well, which means if there is some private investor who's willing to put up his money and, make a go of it, great. If I did have occasion to ride the monorail again, when that happens, it tends to happen in a condition where I wouldn't know whether I was in a subway car above the ground or whether I was in a Tesla. Like, both of those things would be possible. So whatever.
I do think it's going to be interesting. This is going to allow the Loop project to continue to expand. But at the same time, Zoox is taking over. I think the showdown between the Loop and Zoox is going to be fascinating for the next decade.
I absolutely agree, and I'll be interested to see what winds up happening there. So, in other news, according to the Food and Loathings event calendar, the Solo Lounge at Fontainebleau will host a special hand-rolled cigar event on Sunday, June. According to John, on Sunday, June 221st. John is signaling me 21, and in the most shocking thing, when he showed me the one, it was with his index finger and not the one next to it. There we go. That's the John I know. I am also so glad that my 20-year-old child is watching this interaction to know the level of mature adults we both are. So
he lives in the British Isles. He knows it's the same gesture both times.
You can't spell classy without assy.
That's right.
So I'm going to go ahead and reread that because we may have lost the plot. According to Food and Loathings event calendar, the Solo Lounge at Fontainebleau will host a special hand-rolled cigar event on Sunday, June the 21st in honor of Father's Day. Tickets are reasonable at $150, but hurry as seats are limited. So, John, I'm actually kind of interested in this. Do you know what the ticket includes? Like, I assume it, at a minimum, includes a cigar.
So you get a hand-rolled cigar, and they have whiskey samples, and it said, now it didn't say what whiskeys are on offer, but they said the whiskey provider is Beam Suntory. And that means that there's going to be some Japanese whiskeys on offer and some Kentucky bourbons on offer. And Beam Suntory, I think, they own one or two Scotch producers. There could be a wide range of whiskey product available to go with this cigar. And honestly, I know people rag on Jim Beam White Label, which is not my favorite bourbon by any stretch. I can't think of anything that Beam produces bourbon-wise that I won't drink. And their ryes are pretty good too.
Yeah, no, this is actually an event I would be 100% interested in going to. I won't be there that weekend, but if I was anywhere around, I would absolutely make it that a highlight of the trip. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I hope this becomes an annual thing because I will find an excuse to be in Vegas for Father's Day at some point. Vegas 411 says that Gabriel Iglesias, a.k.a. Fluffy, will return to the Chelsea Theater in the Cosmo on September 11th and 12th. Tickets are in pre-sale as we record, but by the time the episode drops, tickets will be fully on sale, and I would imagine they will sell out. Bill, I know you like stand-up comedy. Would you like to go see Mr. Iglesias?
Yes, absolutely. So right now, Edwin and I are at our house in Alabama. His mother and his brother are going to get here tomorrow because they had to do some last minute stuff at our house in Texas. But Edwin and I watched Fluffy, like we watched some YouTube specials because the man is funny.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. That's one of those where, and I can't go that particular weekend because my guess is I will have just gotten back from taking the boys to school in Ireland. But that's one of those, I would be interested enough in that show to like actually plan a trip around it. So Edwin, when you eventually go to Vegas, do you have any interest in seeing like a big deal comedy routine like Mr. Iglesias?
Yeah, absolutely. For all of the reasons you suggested right there. I wish Bill Engvall was still doing comedy full time. I would love to see him as well.
All right. Well, and here's the thing: you never know, but maybe he's like, "Hey, I need some money," and somebody offers him $100,000 to do a show, right? Like that. Weirder things have happened in Vegas pretty routinely.
I mean, Ron White's retired 4 times now. They'd come back for the money. And I would see Ron White in Vegas in a heartbeat. That's a very Vegas comedian.
And that 100% is. Well, in our final story of the night, listeners, if you have been with the show for a while, thanks so much. We genuinely appreciate that you're here, and you already know what's coming. It is our Vegas WTF segment, our just wild, how did this sort of thing happen, and could only happen in Vegas. Listeners, if you're new, we are also happy that you're here. We hope you will make this podcast a regular part of your listening. We drop one every week, usually on Friday mornings, but it kind of depends on, what other stuff John and I have going on. In this week's Vegas WTF segment, according to WSLS 10 News and the Associated Press, the inaugural heavily debated Enhanced Games, the sporting event famously permitting performance-enhancing substances, took place in Las Vegas this past weekend. Highlighting Sunday night's events, American sprinter Fred Kerley won the 100-meter final with a time of 9.97 seconds, while Greek swimmer Christian something or another, starts with G, I don't know, secured a highly publicized $1 million bonus for breaking a world swimming mark. Snarky sports blog Awful Announcing called the event a flop, noting that the live stream only had 800,000 viewers. While this podcast would kill for an audience that size, a regular season NFL game is over 18.5 million viewers. So this unique and supposedly incredible event gathered less than 4.5% of the viewership of, say, a Cleveland Brown versus Las Vegas Raiders game. Even the WNBA Finals last year averaged twice as many viewers at 1.5 million views per game. John, I don't have any interest in seeing a mixed-use game at all, particularly not if the hook is, hey, we're breaking all the rules here. Yeah, would this be anything you would care about? Because this screams it needs to happen in Vegas. But would you have gone to any of that?
No. Let's be honest. The only enhanced performers anybody are showing up in numbers to see in Vegas are dancing somewhere at a place that has a sketchy legs and eggs buffet at 2 a.m. Those are the enhanced performers that Vegas cares about, not these people on steroids. This was a stupid event. By the way, the guy that beat the record on swimming barely beat the record, and he just jacked up, right? Like, just ridiculous looking guy. Like, just, it's nonsense. It's terrible. It's dumb. No, I would rather sit there and listen to somebody without rhythm beat on a pickle drum bucket than sit through this crud. But I don't have a strong opinion. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, I would argue that the audience is only half the point of these games. I think one reason why these games went on is because the organizers are looking at it as a way to gather human-level test data on whatever performance-enhancing peptides your crazy Reddit uncle told you about last week thinks are cool. I think it's a way to gather human-level test data on those without having to go past an institutional review board.
Son,
well, that's an interesting theory. Wow.
Did you just try to make Las Vegas make sense?
Yeah, well, perhaps that is a cardinal sin, but I'm a computer scientist. Come on now.
That's what happens when you do a podcast drinking root beer instead of the crap your dad and I drink, because you still have brain cells and we're over here like the dancers are enhanced. So, okay. Edwin is smarter than us, Bill.
Son, I would never, ever dare break the laws of the state of Alabama and allow you access to a location with alcohol in it, like my home or the country club or the Episcopal Church or, any of the other places I go. But if you keep making sense, I may have to break that solemn rule just so that you get a number of brain cells equivalent to what John and I have.
I believe the children are the future. Yeah. Teach them well anyway, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. I'm going to cut it off now before I sing anymore. We are so glad that you wanted to hear what we had to say. If you have a good friend who loves Vegas or an enemy that hates listening to old fat white guys talk and drink, then you should share links to this podcast with them. And before we sign out, Bill, why don't you tell everybody where they can find more Dine Drink Vegas and Dine Drink Travel content?
Folks, if you're looking for places where you can hear John sing, don't. And if you're looking for places where you can see me drink Crown Royal, not going to happen. But if you're looking for more amazing video content about trips to Las Vegas, premium luxury hotels, airline destinations, and airline lounges, me, Edwin, and John all contribute to the YouTube Dine Drink Travel channel, where we bring you short and focused videos to help you plan your next trip. You can also find me on essentially every social media platform at Dine Drink Travel, and probably the most important of those is X, because that's where I interact with John, who promises not to sing on the platform.
I make no such promises. Just because I can't sing doesn't mean I won't sing. I'm at Dine Drink John. I would love to talk to you about traveling to Las Vegas, about traversing my beautiful home state of Texas, about adult beverages, about fine handcrafted coffee beverages, and why my beloved Dallas Cowboys are once again giving me hope that I know will only leave me so heartbroken that, like Bill, I can fight in a bottle of Crown Royal. We're so glad you took the time to listen once again. And until the next episode, happy travels.
John, have you ever been dumped by a girl from Merkel?
I have never been dumped by a girl from Merkel. I was dumped by a girl from Sweetwater whose parents were cousins.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's worse.